low. Guitars bend, pads breathing, the slow. Grip held tight, the storm starts to glow. We sharpen the truth, ready to explode. Can't call out rhinos if you're a rhino. Speak with a mic, the beat's not about the tone. Oh, cash just saints blink while the crowd loses sane. Oh, I spit raw pages, every line a broken homo. Can't be bought, can't be sold. Gave my soul to truth, not gold. We raise the flags while the fake keeps cold.
All right. I'm in the wrong place. Let me fix that. So yeah, still on the road, guys. Welcome to the Patriot podcast, but the show must go on. I have Lance and JD with me today. Maurice is not going to be joining. He's at a family affair. But got a couple of really cool guests and some conversation that can go many, many places. So first, let me introduce to my left, or to my right. On my right, I got JD Conservative from Baltimore City, from my home city, from my neighborhood. I had to have him on. We was talking at CPAC. I told him we were going to make this happen, and we were going to make this happen. And Lance, who I've been talking to even before the show came on here, found out we got a lot in common. Lance is very awake. Love it. So everybody knows kind of my stance on what's going on in the world today, politically and that sort of thing. And no, I'm not black-pilled, but I'm like a grayish hue of red, if that makes sense. We're trying to just make sense of everything, and we're going to talk about a lot of the things that are confusing people today. And I just want to get points of view and perspectives from everybody, because that's what it's about. It's about conversation. So obviously we've been in this conflict with Iran, and on the offset of this conflict, we saw a lot of the Iranians celebrating, taking burqas off. We knew how the religious authority over there worked. We were told that 30,000+ Iranian citizens were killed, murdered by their own government, some of them in recovery rooms and hospital beds and things like this as it happened. And so a lot of people were celebrating this. We saw this at CPAC, JD. Iranian flags, people were yelling, "Thank you, Trump. Thank you, all this." But it's good and bad, right? It's what I call political judo. They're using our own weight against us to steer what we thought we were fighting for into a different avenue. And before you know it, you're somewhere you didn't think you were, fighting for something that wasn't exactly what you thought you were fighting for when the fight started, if that makes sense. And now here we are. We've accomplished everything we set out to do in Iran. We took out the nuke sites. Isfahan's been bombed. Khomeini's been taken out. The Straits of Hormuz have been opened, and we closed them again. I'm thoroughly confused at this point, which is what I keep telling people every time we talk about this issue. But I would love to get some perspective on it. I'll start with you, Lance. What do you see happening, and what's your take on the entire thing?
Well, thanks for having me, Eddie, and awesome being here with you too, JD. Looking forward to this, you guys. Thank you. So, overall, I think I have to have faith and belief and hope, realistic hope, not naivete, but hope.
Yeah.
And positivity that it is going to transform very quick. Everything that you just said, Eddie, it's accurate and true. It looks like things are close to wrapping up, but we've heard timelines, not just in this situation, but endless situations over the years of just a little bit longer or soon or this or that. And we've seen so many things get kicked down the road, that can get kicked down the road. And we've seen things just get twisted, just like you said, where it'll start off with one sort of agenda or talking points and quickly shift into something else. So, I'm seeing everything that's going on there in terms of what we can see. I'm hopeful that it's going to shift very quickly now. But we know that there's a lot of actors out there and a lot of forces, dark forces, that do not want peace, and that we're this close to, the finish line, so to speak, in some ways. the intentions are very heightened, and so there could be some sort of event that takes place to try to derail things. I think something like that may happen, not also like
Yeah.
blackpilling or being negative, but being very
Right.
realistic. These Satanists and these, people who have run this planet for a long time, they don't want to go quietly. They can see that they're on their way out, that they're on their last leg, and this is when things really get intense. So I'm
Yeah. The
hopeful that
death
it will
rattle when you
shift,
got them
but
cornered.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And JD, where's your take on these events in Iran specifically? Well,
Well,
one, let's just go with Trump's shutting down the Straits of Hormuz after they've been opened.
I think when Trump shut it down again, man, I think he was trying to put. I think he's always trying to put everybody in position where they have to come buy their oil from us and not go there. So even in the opening it, we don't want your allies to go and get your oil. Nah, that's okay. We're gonna shut it down and they gotta continue to buy their oil from us. So it's kind of like a
Yeah.
punishment thing. We're gonna punish you for shutting it in the first place, okay? It's kind of a thing of us letting you know that we run this and you don't.
Hmm.
And I feel this way when it comes down to Iran, the situation with Iran. We do have an issue because when it comes down to Iran and Israel, Israel, Iran, America, it is not the people that's in conflict. It's always the elite that's in conflict. And those who are influenced by the elite becomes what you call their sleeper cells, right? So because me being from Baltimore City, coming up in the hood, I done been around Muslims my whole life. Okay? Black people, it's lots of Muslims in the hood. The Mecca for Muslims in America is in Philly. So black Americans and white Americans and Latino Americans all share the value of Islam in America. Islam has been in America since the early 1900s, with Noble Drew Ali getting us to say Islamism. Then it went from there to FOI, Fruit of Islam, with Elijah Muhammad and them race baiters. And then Malcolm X exposed them for being what they were, and he brought Sunni Islam over here. So I'm just saying we've
Hmm.
already been here. But the problem is people come from other parts of the country who can, excuse me, the world, who do not respect or value our country's values. They don't respect and value freedom of religion. They think that that Muslims over here are supposed to be taxing the Christians. They don't respect the Jews. They don't respect our way of not marrying little girls, right? And when I say they, let me be specific, the Shiite regime. Because every
I was going
Muslim,
to be
even
specific because the Nation of Islam is much different than the Middle Eastern factions of Islam, of Shiite and Sunni.
facts. And even a Sunni is different from a Shiite. See, the Shiite regime is running on this thing that they call hadith or prophecies, ways and sayings and teachings of their leader or the one that they follow. That's what a hadith is, okay? So they say that in the hadith is a prophecy that Muhammad said that the Muslims will fight in the West and that the Jews, because there's this fight that they're supposed to be having, they're supposed to annihilate the Jews and tax the Christians. That's the goal. So the Jews will be hiding behind rocks and hiding behind stones, and the rocks and stones will miraculously speak out to the Muslims and expose the Jews' hiding spot. That is their prophecy. But you gotta understand that every Muslim is not living or running their life off of that prophecy, especially Muslims that were born and raised in America. Now, that ties into people that come from those countries trying to get black Americans to join their cause in taking over the West. And black American Muslims that do not value that do not believe in that, are normally called kufar, which is saying they're not that's not that they're disbelievers, but that they are rejectors of the religion. That's what a kuffar or kafir is. And they call them munafiqs. They call them hypocrites. So do we have a situation in America when it comes to Iran or the Shams, which means Iran, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Yemen? Yes, we do. Because we have a bunch of those people who are influencers within the Muslim community that try their best to secretly hold meetings and get people recruited to their cause. And I have seen it with black American Muslims that were elders stand up to these guys and get ready to fight these guys for trying to recruit us into some bullshit. So the thing about it is, we do have what you call sleeper cells. And we do have people that's trying to get other people to be sleeper cells. And even if they can't reach young black Muslims, they'll reach out to the young black hustlers on the corner. The white man treats you bad in this country. Don't worry, one day we'll take over this place and we'll make it better for you and all of your people. Yeah, brother. They start letting the black people work behind the goddamn on counters and everything. But the thing about it is, this is not the ideology of every Muslim. But do we have a problem? Yes. And should we go over there and fuck shit up? Yes. Now, when it comes down to hurting all the people, we don't want to do that, and that's why I kind of question him closing I'm closing it again, because now when Trump closes it again, we're now hurting people that is not a part of the Shiite regime. There are people that's going to now suffer. You get what that makes sense. That has
Yeah.
nothing to do with the terrorist acts that these people have been committing. And you gotta remember that they're trying to take over certain parts of the East to make them join one army to take over the West. Now, again, this is not somebody's statement I've seen off of the online. No, it's called Sahih El Bukhari. And when you go into Sahih El Bukhari, you just look into the chapter of prophecies, or you look into the chapter of war, and it will mention that. So this is, and I want to mention this last thing before I pass the mic on. This Sahih El Bukhari was not written until 500 years after Muhammad was dead. Even this whole thing about marrying little girls, okay? That was not in the Quran. That's in their hadiths 500 years later. So we have a problem. We got people that have a desire, a lust desire to destroy America. And unfortunately, our corrupt government has destroyed other people's lives. And now we got other people, regular common people all over the world, who also thinks that our lives should be destroyed because their lives are destroyed. I'll land my plane right there.
Yeah, it's cyclical. It's definitely cyclical. And yeah, I think that we have an opportunity right now, if it was done correctly, to liberate, win people to the American side. But I think when we went in there and we continue to allow our ally, our supposed ally, to continue to bomb and do missile strikes on the people that we were communicating with, that we were negotiating with to end this conflict, they continually sent missiles through the front door of those people. As a matter of fact, Trump and JD Vance were literally actively negotiating on a live stream the way we are right now with an Iranian official who Israel bombed during the live stream as they were negotiating. So this has been ongoing. It's happened 5 times, 9 times total, 5 times within 24 hours of those negotiations. So yes, every time the United States tries to pull out, Israel is like, no, a little more. So people starting to question: does Israel want this to be another Gaza situation? Do they have this idea that they have a mandate to destroy their enemies by any means necessary? The United States does try to fight wars with a certain amount of morality, if you will. I guess there's certain lines we won't cross. I don't think Israel has those lines. If we look at Gaza today, we can see there are no lines. They just have enemies and anybody in the way and any means necessary to get the job done. And that's kind of where they are.
Facts.
So how do we get out of this? And should Trump stand up to Netanyahu? How do we get our ally in check? How do we pull the let's just say the movement on the right back in line with what we all started out with, America first, and dealing with the problems that we have at home instead of letting ourselves be dragged out into some long-lasting war because we stood next to Israel while they did it. I'll let you take this. Go ahead, Lance.
Yeah, I mean, it's a loaded question and a lot of, solutions on how to get there. The short of it is finding where these disruptions are taking place in the negotiation process. You listed these things, Eddie, but now getting very specific. And I think what we're going to find, and this is good, we know this Trump keeps his enemies close, or his friends close, enemies closer. We're going to see some of these traitors and some of these real lunatics start to expose themselves, I think, very soon now, because just, what I had mentioned earlier and what you had just said, Israel doesn't seem to actually want real peace. We know that, of course.
No.
It's now waking the world up to this concept and this fact of, hey, they're the warmongers. Of course, Iran too, but they're all on the same team. It's this
What do you
whole
say to people
facade.
that call you anti-Semitic for such a statement? Because that's what they'll say. They'll say we're anti-Semitic.
This has nothing to do with a religion. It has everything to do with politics. That's what I would say back to them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and they still can't handle that. They can't make the difference in their mind. Some people can't. Um, but that's the truth of it. We're not talking religion here. We're talking simple politics of a nation state, an alleged nation state that is, been destroying the world in many ways. Of course, there's
In
many good people.
manufacturing history.
Exactly,
Man,
exactly.
that's why I want.
It's the worst of the worst. Yeah,
So it's like
gaslighting.
I think that the only way that we
Right.
can really push back on our so-called our so-called allies, is by taking. Well, this is one way because like you said, there's plenty of ways, but one way is by taking away this racial factor in America. No more do you ask me, am I white, am I black, am I Hispanic? Don't ask me that on my applications anymore. It should just be, are you an American citizen or not? Because these individuals have used race as a tool to get what they want out of our country.
This
Making
used to be a
partners,
left-wing thing, and now it's permeating the
and now
right
it's
as
becoming
well.
a
Because
right
now, if
wing
we,
thing. Bro, I
yes,
sat there and CPAC, I think the lady name was Luna something. I said her name. No, Myra Flores. That's what it is. Myra Flores said the Republican Party will die if they do not invest into the Hispanic community. Now, I want to tell you this. I have had people tell me time and time again that this whole thing you're trying to do, MAGA, all of us as one United Citizens, it's not going to work. That shit going to fall and blow right up in your face. And at that moment, I felt like it was blowing up in my face because when I rep MAGA, I'm not repping MAGA for Black Americans. We need this, and Black Americans need that. No, it's for all of us Americans. So when I so yes, I agree with you, yo. I feel like they're using the whole race thing against us so they can get what they want to get out of our government. That's what I truly believe. Um,
yeah.
Even when it comes down to indigenous, what is indigenous or who the indigenous people are of America and whatnot, all of that, Walter Plecker and them, along with the NAACP and their friends, because we know who the allies of the NAACP is, right? So Jews or the Jewish people, if we was didn't know that, they all use this race stuff to divide us as a country.
Well, yeah,
And
it's the Ishmaelites, the Edomites, it's the teachings that Islam will go to war with Christianity, and this whole thing that's taught, the rabbinical teachings in Israel by way of the Talmud really teaches that, well, one, Christ is in hell, boiling in a pot of
by the
excrement,
seamen,
and
yep,
I mean, all yeah, this is the things that they don't really want talked about or told, nor is it popular, but it's true,
yep,
and they feel as though if Islam and Christianity are headed for a head-on collision, they're trying to help that along. You see, they
absolutely,
fund both sides of the government, both Democrat and Republican. It's like 90+% of our government is funded by the Israeli lobby. So they
exactly,
don't really have a standard for what they will fund. They don't have a standard. They won't say, "Oh, we believe in this, so we will fund this." No, we'll fund everything and we'll fund everybody. We want everybody in our pocket. That's a dangerous thing. I think that JFK started to push for them to register under FARA prior to his assassination, and that didn't work. I mean, they're still not registered under FARA, and today APAC funds our politicians not just directly from APAC, but through proxy sources right here in our homeland. And we need to get foreign money out of our elections if we
absolutely,
ever stand a chance of bringing our government back to work for our people instead of K Street, which is the special interest in the lobbies. Now I'm going to change the subject a bit here because Biden is back in the news, believe it or not. Hunter Biden is just relocated overseas as an old law firm is now setting to sue for unpaid fees. Now he's leaving the country. This family is one of the most disgusting families, I think, to have ever held political office. He signed, well, he didn't sign, a machine signed over 90+% of his legislation while he was in.
Facts.
I really don't understand. These are the things where it's like, when Trump got in office, I thought we were going to see arrests. I thought we were going to see investigations. We just watched the entire world get told they had a virus and that people weren't essential, and there was a lot to that. Now we find out that there are bioweapons, and RFK just talked about this, that are manufactured to attack certain demographics of people disproportionately, while others were immune. Now his statements, not mine, is that the Ashkenazis and Anglo-Saxon people were less affected by the coronavirus than other demographics of people, and disproportionately blacks were affected more so than most any other race by this virus. Now they're telling people not to use 23andMe and or ancestry.com because they're afraid what'll happen if they get a hold of your genetic code. The military has issued warnings to people in the service. It's all wild. So this all leads back to what I started with. They left the country. They committed some serious crimes that are worthy of investigations. We don't know who ran our country for 4 years. This is the things that I wish Trump would really address.
And you know,
what do you think? Hold on one second, because what do you think that he should be addressing? Where should his attention be right now? Or do you think he can do both at the same time?
I think that Trump should be trying to, I don't know if he's going to pass an executive order, they'll try to make a new law, but all corrupt politicians need to be getting locked up. It seems like the majority of corrupt politicians that we see getting in trouble or in the headlines, you know, for fraud, you know what I'm saying? Yo, they're black women. I want the black women to get in trouble. I want the investigation on Nancy Pelosi to continue, right? Hunter Biden, he should have been locked up. You get what I'm saying? He been talking about the Clintons. You say you got the evidence that you have on the Clintons, lock him up. Bill Clinton was on Epstein Island. He had this whole hearing. Lock him up. Him saying Trump was not there is not enough for me to say, all right, don't lock him up. Okay, he said Trump wasn't there. Okay, he never had to say it. He could have said it. Whatever. He said it, but that's nothing to not continue to press the mark of locking him and his wife up. What about the money that they were supposed to give Haiti, but instead threw a whole freaking wedding for Chelsea Clinton and them? So it's like, we know what the problem is. He know who the people are, but no one's getting arrested.
And I think that's the problem that most people have with the right now. It's not that they don't stand for the right thing. It's that we just don't see the accountability. There were 33 children. Linda Silsby tried to sneak out of Haiti and got arrested for child trafficking. And her ties were directly to the Clintons, who later went down to Haiti and got that lady out of prison for trafficking. She's now in the government in Idaho, and she's now a foster mom. How do you go from child trafficker to foster parent?
Come on,
this is a problem. Go ahead,
I didn't
Lance.
know that.
Let's hear you weigh in on this.
I'm learning that from you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's all crazy. I agree. We need to see arrests, very simply. That's the main point. With Hunter Biden fleeing the country because he owes, I saw this, like $17 million. He can't pay it. He then challenged Don Jr. and Eric Trump to a cage fight. Did you guys see this 2 days ago?
No, I didn't.
Literally. And
hold up, I gotta pull this up. Go ahead.
100%. And I watched the clip, and it's not AI, it's him. He's doing it. He challenged them to it. Don Jr. responded on X. We'll see.
All right, happens. I'm taking bets.
My money's on the Trump guys for sure. Hunter Biden and his whole family, like they will become the hunted. They were the hunters, and they will become the hunted. I think that them trying to leave the country You can go as far as you want, but the marshals will go anywhere. And like yeah, we've seen no accountability up to this point publicly. We saw 2 people resign from Congress yesterday, which is great. The beast is starting to eat itself. It's starting to consume itself. We
Yeah.
know it's, some of that's politics and just play and just, talk, but that is definitely good signs. And yes, that's the clip, Eddie. That's him challenging.
Oh, let's hear
Yeah,
this. Let's
yeah.
hear this.
Oh, look,
Hunter
yo,
Biden
I was
here.
over here pulling it
I
up.
just got a call from Andrew Callahan. He asked me to come out on the Channel 5 Carnival tour at the end of the month. I think we start in Phoenix and then we go to San Diego and we end in Albuquerque. And I think he's trying to organize a cage match, me versus Eric and Don Jr. I told him I'd do it, 100% in, if he can pull it off. And if he can't, I'm still coming. And I think he's got a lot of other surprises up his sleeve, a lot of fun. And I hope I can see you guys out there. You can get tickets online right now, and I'll see you out on tour.
Wow. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I'm literally blown away right now. I had no idea this was going down, but I'm for it. I'm all for it.
Yes, absolutely.
know-
Let's see it. Let's see it.
But doesn't he remind you a lot of his dad? Do you think Corn
Yes.
Pop is going to coach? Corn Pop is going to coach Hunter. Maybe we'll see Corn Pop in the corner like Rocky's coach. What's Rocky's coach's name? I forget, but that's essentially going to be Corn Pop in this instance.
He's gonna have his ice
And
cream.
he said Eric and Don.
Yeah.
He said Eric and Don Jr. Like he's going to take both of them on.
Good luck.
Well, yeah, but that will be the fight of the century. That will outsell any Mike Tyson fight that I've ever. That would be
Absolutely.
absolutely great.
Yeah, I think
That
we'll all
would be
like to see
absolutely
this.
great.
That's hilarious. Wow.
So beyond that, now we got suspects, cartel that Trump has made, well, at least he's alluded to the fact that he's looking or eyeballing Mexico. We've seen Mexico's president go after the cartel using the Mexican Air Force not long ago after taking out one of their leaders. And you saw what Trump did with Maduro. We've already pretty much, we can take Cuba anytime we want to. It's there for the taking, essentially, is what Trump said. So he's trying to build this American alliance, what I think is going to be the answer to NATO, because I think he's very disillusioned with NATO at this point. So I think what he's building is an American coalition that he's going to try to use to replace NATO, which is, I think, is smart from a strategical standpoint. But that doesn't work unless we get Mexico to be able to be ran and governed in a way that is compliant with a law-abiding society. And we know very well that Mexico, ever since Vicente Fox, has not had a leader in there that's not been basically compromised by the criminal element in that country. So I don't see a way in which Trump, if he wants to accomplish his end goal, doesn't take aim at Mexico at some point. And I know this is something that nobody's talking about, but it's just something that I don't see a way around. I'll go ahead, Lance. What do you think?
Absolutely, absolutely, Eddie. And so I just saw this today, and it kind of makes sense with where everything's going. So you guys saw Eric Swalwell, all the stuff going on with him. One of his good buddies is Ruben Gallego, the governor of Arizona. He a lot of people believe, I believe it, is actually part of the cartel. And so this would be one way to get the government involved from a military standpoint of, hey, you've got a sitting, U.S. congressman in the United States government who's acting as a spy and a traitor and working for the cartel of Mexico. And this is a way to kind of bring that situation to light and connect both countries, connect the governments, connect the corruption, connect the influence over things. And I think it will be a way for Trump to completely take over Mexico in a good way, for the Mexican people who are good, and the U.S. as well. Because I fully agree, it's very clear he's making this alliance. He's lining it all up. There's reports coming out now that they're getting ready to go to Cuba. They're going to help free the people there too. Uh, there's more than just that involved, but I agree. It's all leading to that point, and I think we could look at Ruben Gallego in Arizona, um, at potentially being a connect that opens up this door for the cartel's influence and how to take down, the cartel slash the Mexican government in a peaceful way that removes the corruption and also shows the corruption too.
Yeah, this is one that I think that'll hit closer to home for a lot of Americans, because if we're just weighing this on the instance of like what we're going after the IRGC for is taken out. I think they totaled it is around 1,300 U.S. soldiers, but I think the cartel has a lot more bodies than 1,300 here in the country. They're a more direct threat to our sovereignty. We've actually spoken and interviewed Liz Harris out of Arizona, who was taken out by both the Republican and Democrat faction of her government after they created a House rule because she was exposing fraud in Arizona that they then applied to her retroactively to get her out of office because of the ties that she was showing from the cartel to elected officials. This story is very wild, but she actually sent me a voicemail, which I have here, that where an elected official sent her a voicemail essentially saying, if you piss the cartel off enough and they come after me, we're coming after you. And I mean, it's wilder than what most people know. This is why I don't believe in the media, because if we can find this out, if we know these things are true, how much more do they know? How much more don't they talk about? And this is why the American people are so uninformed, and they don't know what's real, and they don't know what's true or how to react to certain things or what the real. We live in the Truman Show. We live in the Truman Show. Go ahead, JD. What you think, brother?
I think that we should have been took Mexico. I think that Mexico needs to be taken over completely. All right, so my homeboy's a coyote. He just came home from the feds. You know what I'm saying? I gave him a shout out. He's a coyote. You know what I'm saying? So he has stories of the people he done picked up. You know, mind he done left the East Coast, go all the way to Arizona, go into some freaking desert to go pick up some people, right? Man, he say, man, people be fighting to get in the car. He said they be all lined up, waiting outside in the dark and all huddled up, and everybody's trying to get in the car. But he has a list of who he's supposed to be getting so he can get paid. But he's getting paid between 1,000 to 1,200 for each person that gets in his car. The man might got an order for 20 people, so he may have to take about 2 or 3 trips. But from what he's describing, people are traveling in the desert at night amongst real coyotes looking for my homeboy coyote just to get here. So why worry about some sad crying faces on the other side of the world when we got hungry bellies and sad crying faces right down the street from us? And as you just spoke about, that the cartel was a direct threat to us. I grew up and knew nothing but narcotics. That's all I've seen playing around in Baltimore City. I've seen people get high right there in front of us while we was playing as kids. I've seen crack pipes, everything. So when are we going to stop this? Because they're doing it very aggressively. And I want to say this too. He had a list that he supposed to get. Man, he done told us stories about people that he let get in the car that he ain't get paid for. Man, I couldn't leave that lady out there like that, man. Man, she was out there with her kids, man. I couldn't leave her out there like that, man. I had to shove them motherfuckers in, man. But some of the same people that's getting in the car with him are so grateful. They gave him a whole brick for a tip. I'm just saying, bro. Like, you gotta think about this, bro. Like, they're not just coming over here with nothing. They're not coming over here empty-handed. The list of people he coming to get, it's all about business. They got a whole book bag full of that stuff.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
human trafficking, it's drug trafficking, it's all of it.
and so
But
now that we see that's what it is, we gotta take that over.
yeah, the human cost of that is something that the left completely ignores. What they told us was 350,000 missing children. The Trump administration told us that HHS was complicit in the human trafficking. We've interviewed J.J. Carroll, Craig the Sawman Sawyer, Ryan Matta, who deal in these issues specifically. And their number is more like 427,521, I think was their. I mean, this is how specific their number is. Under the Biden administration, we cut the contract with BOME. And if you don't know what that is, it's a company that used to take DNA by way of blood samples from unaccompanied minors that came into our country. So that way, when we handed these kids off to people on this side of the border, we knew who we were handing them to. We knew they were mom, dad, uncle, aunt, brother, sister. We knew that that child belonged with that individual. Well, the Biden administration rather said, we don't get sued for handing kids off. We get sued for holding them longer. So they canceled the contract with BOME, and whoever showed up to get these children, they were just handing them off. And this ended up in some of these children being trafficked. It ended up being them used as modern day slaves. And some of it ended with those kids losing their lives. It's a sad situation, but one that is completely ignored by the press. Can you imagine 350,000 people missing tomorrow? How many planes that would fill? How many stadiums that would fill? And yet we see people, standing on sidewalks from coast to coast yelling "No Kings," dressed like Barney the dinosaur, but nobody's protesting for these kids. But they say it's all about compassion. Have compassion. But where's your compassion for the children that are missing, that are trafficked, that have been sold? And this is my mindset. That's why I think liberal compassion is virtue signaling and it's phony. But what do you think, Lance?
Yeah, 100%. They play to people's emotions, and they've weaponized humanity's good nature, our good intentions in general, and weaponized that to it's going back to that nation state and just the different psychology of things. They've made the people worship the perpetrator and feel bad for the perpetrator while they're the actual victim of what's going
Yes.
on. And it's the sickest psychology. It's the sickest thing you can do to people. I mean, some of the sickest in terms of a psychological perspective it is. And they cater to that, and they know how to do that very well. So I don't know. A lot of things have to change. We have to change our psychology. We have to change thoughts around victimhood and who's the actual perpetrators. Again, it all comes back to accountability. We don't care. We can talk about all the stuff all the way through. At the end of the day, especially where we're at in these timelines, all we want to see are people arrested and held accountable, because it's like we know the issues inside and out now. We know how to solve them. Let's freaking do something about it, and let's go. It begins with arrests. That's what we want.
Amen.
I think that's what'll win the midterms. That's what'll make people show up for the midterms. Everybody's so worried about the midterms, but the thing that has the right disillusioned the most is not that we don't agree with the right, is that even though you agree with us and this is what you stand on, you have done nothing.
Yep.
Nothing is happening. Nobody of any value or worth of any statute in our country has been arrested for anything. Right? We have Ilhan Omar, 3 fraudulent businesses. She literally, I believe, set up an entire incident to have somebody squirt her with red vinegar through a syringe to have a fake fight moment to try to win sympathy from the voters, when she was responsible for the biggest pandemic fraud scheme in U.S. history with $250 million. Think about that. There are people in prison for decades over committing crimes, less than 5% of that. And this lady is still in office.
And that's why
I don't see any movement.
And that's why I made the statement that I made. Like, for instance, Marilyn Mosby in Maryland, locked up for fraud.
The mayor.
You get what I'm saying? So that's why I made the statement. All these black female politicians getting locked up. But what about the main ones? So like I mentioned Nancy Pelosi, you just mentioned Elon Hobart. That's why I say, yo, the conservative movement has been infiltrated. And I realized we were getting infiltrated because everybody had black fatigue and ghetto fatigue out of nowhere. And I was like, all right, I understand black people be doing crazy stuff sometimes and whatnot, but we didn't steal billions of dollars and send it back to Somalia. So we can't be the cancer of the country. You get what I'm saying? We're not opening the borders up. And going back to when you mentioned that, right? One thing that we have is people lying. They're lying to us about what's going on, what's really happened. And if I come tell the truth, they will lie to the people and say, I'm not telling the truth. I have an education. This should be illegal. Because
Mhm.
we have seen slavery in modern day time because of this. 300,000 children or 400,000 children. This was slavery. These kids was found on strawberry plantations, warehouses. These kids was used as sex slaves and so forth. We have literally seen slavery. 50 years from now, they're going to be asking for reparations.
And that's not untrue. And we're creating a new class of victim. But if I can give you guys an easy button, and I'll start with you, Lance. If I could give you an easy button right now, and you had a hot button issue, give me your top 3 hot button issues. You would hit the easy button on and say, these are the things that I want to happen right now, and these are the top 3 things.
Um, arresting all of the deep state criminals. That's one. Two, completely abolishing and firing every employee involved in every agency that's been complicit in these crimes. Um, uh, gutting these agencies basically. Number 3, um, forgiving people the debts and restoring true financial freedom for the world. Gold and silver backing our financial system, using technology where it's beneficial, in combination with that, let's go, all of that.
So I take
Thanks,
it.
JD. Love
I
it.
take it you are a Ron Paul fan. I take it.
Yeah, definitely.
I figured.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
figured when you started talking about
Common sense.
the Fed and yeah. I was right there with you. The Ron Paul revolution was my my red pill moment, right? That
Awesome.
was when I started to understand the monetary system, what Social Security really was, that it was a tax. And now we got people out here, no, we got to save Social Security. Do we? Do we really? No, we don't. In fact, if you add up how much money you pay into it versus how much you actually receive back, you receive back less than 5% of what you pay in because you're not 100% vested until 65. The average life expectancy is 72. And if you don't make it, that money's not passed on to your family. You would do better throwing that money in your mattress than you would be giving it to the government with an interest-free loan that you will never see and your descendants will never see again. We need true financial freedom, and that doesn't come by way of, and I don't know if you know this, but if you follow Ron Paul, you may know this. When the banks bailed us out and Social Security was instituted in 36, the banks issued something called an SRA, and that locked the gold prices in for them at the rate that it was in 36. So the agreement was that no matter how high in value gold went per ounce, it stayed at $42 for them to current day. Now, a lot of people that are in the know are asking, why haven't we seen inside of Fort Knox? Well, it may be that as the dollar declined in value, we may have been dumping our gold to the world banks, and we may not have anything left of tangible value at all. That all of our wealth may just very well be an illusion, printed on paper or stored in a cloud somewhere. Who knows? What about your easy button? You got 3 easy button issues. What are you going to do, JD?
Man, three easy button issues. Make it illegal for politicians and major news outlets to lie. Explicitly illegal. End the race stuff. No more asking people are they black or they white. No, it's are you American or not. And number 3, and this is so off topic, and it's so off, and I understand, right? But I think that what we really need to see is a lot of politicians getting arrested. The Epstein files, with the fraud, the stuff that Doge found, and bro, I fucking excuse my language, I freaking forgot that we never got a stance out of Fort Knox. I forgot we never resolved that problem. It seems like only thing Trump is doing, mind you, I rocks with Trump. That's my man. It seems like all he's doing though is digging up. Look, you guys, and he's going to all the holes that he already was there. Okay, so he's not going anyway. He's not the psychic, all right. He's not the Jesus that he shared. He knew the shit was there already. He's like, look, you guys, I found this. Look, you guys, I found this. You won't believe what I found, bro. Do something about what you found. That's like that's like seeing crap on the toilet seat and not cleaning it off. Do something.
Yeah. I'll give you my
Absolutely.
3 easy button issues. These would be 3 things that I would change immediately. The monetary system is one. I would end Social Security or I would privatize it so that your money is yours. That way you can leave it to descendants or whatever, but that goes into an account for you. Period. Second thing I would do is obviously we need the SAVE Act. We absolutely need it. Third thing I would do, actually, I'm going to give you 2 more because I have to have both of these. I would make communism illegal again. We'd start arresting people for communism. We used to do that. And I would also make it to where anyone that moves to the United States would not be able to run for office. Only their grandchildren would be able to run. Because we are getting people with the ideologies from their countries, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Mandani, people that are coming here with ideologies that are antithetical to our way of life, our culture, our heritage, our history, which they're tearing down in front of us every single day. And why? Because they didn't grow up here. They don't know what our culture is. They don't know what our heritage is. They're not trying to assimilate. They are trying to eradicate the American way of life. And the left, by way of liberal compassion, is allowing this. They're allowing it. They're marching for things that are just absolutely abhorrent. I mean, 2 weeks before we went into Iran in LA, they were protesting for the Iranian people. 2 weeks later, the very same people were in the streets of LA protesting for Khomeini. On a dime, they switched. This means they don't have any standards. The only thing they will stand for is if you stand for something. If you stand for something, they can't stand it. Plain and simple. That is the left. They are like, if I could redo the Democratic logo, it would be a snake eating its own tail. That would be exactly what they are, because you couldn't put their constituents in the same room together. They would kill each other. You would have the LGBTQ folk in there with the radical Islamists. And just and the gun issue thing, don't even get me started. If you want the gun violence in the country to go down, tell Democrats to stop shooting people. It's very simple. But all right.
That is so real, bro. Because I mean, listen, I don't mean to be too crazy on your podcast, but I don't believe in coincidences. And during election seasons, I just find it a coincidence that a black person gets shot by a white cop every election season. It just happened on Bel Air and Edison in town. Every election season, every election, if it's midterms, whatever, it's always a black guy that gets shot by some white cop. However, this is why I say it's systematic. This is why I believe it's no, because y'all get shot by the cops more than we do. But we never hear of that. That's never on mainstream media. It's never a mark.
You remember, I think we talked about this at CPAC, and I was telling you the story of my buddy Timothy Reynolds. Yeah. He was, I grew up with this guy. He was driving through downtown Baltimore. He worked his way out of Baltimore, became an engineer, and it's very hard to do when you grow up where you and I grow up to get out of that place. But he did it. But he used to come in town and hang out with his buddies and that sort of thing. And on his way home, some kids, I think he was a 14-year-old, came up to squeegee his window. Timmy told him no, and hot-headed little kid broke his windshield wiper for saying no on his new car. He gets out of the car, chase him away from the car. This kid runs back to his book bag and shoots him 5 times in the back of the head. It's 14-year-old. However, when this story hit the news media, somehow or another, the kid became the victim. The kid that shot him 5 times in the back of the head became the victim in the story. And yet Timmy's kids are growing up with no dad. His mom and dad are, don't have a son. And yet they made it into a racial issue instead of a cultural issue. An issue of something that should be taken care of, a heart problem that they just don't want to address, and it'll never get addressed if we keep looking at things in terms of our skin color, which is a social construct. I grew up in the worst of the worst places in Baltimore City. And let me tell you, it is not white or black that differentiates people from each other at all. Zero. It is the culture that differentiates people between each other, because I have known many, many white folks that have the same exact mentality of the people called so-called to get black fatigue over. I know many white folks with the same exact mentality that people are complaining about. It is not a racial thing. It is a cultural thing. And until we can address it directly and have an honest conversation and people want to look in the mirror, it's never going to get better.
Now,
it's a distraction.
And I can agree with you about the culture thing. I just want to put in, though, right? The culture thing is not just in the hood.
No.
Because when you got some kid in the suburbs who was just fed up, and he decides that he got to go in his dad's closet and get his AR and then go to school and do that to a bunch of teachers and students, I think that we can fix this culture thing. Because, see, if it was just a thing with the hood and blacks, then it's kind of, what the hell? But when you realize that it's not just the hood, it's not just blacks, we can really look at the broader aspect and see who and what is this that's pushing this violence.
What do you think causes that, though?
Who was over our music industry?
Yeah.
The music industry, our mainstream medias, our social medias, who are the people that continue to allow these videos of people getting unalived be shown? Who are the people that's controlling all of this? Let's take it back. Who was the people that called us black in the first place? Excuse me. Or who was the people that helped Jesse Jackson call us African Americans? There is no such thing as black or white. Black or white literally means legal status. America has a caste system that they don't like to talk about. White means you're on top. Black means you're below. So before the late 1700s, if your yearly salary is like mine, all 3 of us be black. And if we was to go approach somebody like LeBron, he would be offended.
He's talking about To Kill a Mockingbird. Essentially, is the whole story that you're claiming. You're Alex Cross. Yeah, this is typical. But this is why they took these books out of school. You understand this? This is why they took these types of books out of school. They stopped educating based on those types of values, and they started indoctrinating the kid as social justice warriors at a young age. Now they got teaching the kids how to protest in kindergarten.
Come on.
What would you do? How would you fix the education system? How would you approach the education system, Lane?
It needs to be governed on a state level and not from a federal level, because the federal level, it's too much oversight, too much control, too easy for the whole nation to become fascist, basically, or under fascist control, educational control. Get it to the state level. It's a lot easier than, in some ways, to for states to self-manage and the federal government to stay the hell out of our business.
Let's talk about that for a second. 1979, Jimmy Carter instituted the Department of Education. The United States was #1 in education at that time. When we instituted this, the states, we elect school board superintendents. We elect these people, but they were basically ceremonial at best because they received their marching orders from Washington, from the federal government. So we could never hold our local politicians accountable for what the federal government did or didn't do. Some states gave up as much as $87 billion annually to the federal government, which was not getting fed back into our kids by way of education, tablets, things that they needed in order to progress and proceed. In your state, it's a very low percentage of people, JD, that actually learn to read at grade level. By the time they leave high school, they're reading barely at a middle school level.
Facts.
This is the norm. This is the norm. So we really do need to bring, just like Lance was saying, the education back to the state level so we can go to the school board meetings and yell at the people we elected to do something about it and actually have them be at fault for what is being done or not being done.
Yeah, because I should have never been forced to watch Roots. I should have never had to write no reports on no Roots or no characters of Roots. Roots is not a historical based story. It's fiction. Alex Haley was sued in court for plagiarism because he plagiarized a fiction novel called Africa and claimed that this was his family and his lineage. And that man that wrote the fiction novel Africa sued him and won. But they don't tell us that in school. They make us watch Roots as if it's historical facts. We got to do a report or answer questions about Kizzy, answer questions about Master. What do I like about Chicken George? That's stupid. We need to, you're right, bro. We need to bring it back to state level and we need to be teaching kids real civics and real financial literacy.
Amen.
This is something that Michaela Montgomery spoke about in depth. And she was appointed by Trump, and she was a member of PPN before she went on to the Trump administration. So was Ann Funder. It seems like a lot of people come through here and then end up going to the Trump administration. Never me, but other folks. And I'm glad to have been a part of their lives at some point. But, you know, she talked about this and what Linda McMahon was getting ready to do. And they insulted Trump heavily in the beginning of this talk about abolishing the Department of Education. But they didn't understand it wasn't an abolishing of the federal agency. It was a correction as far as what their role was in the education process. And it was more along the lines of to make sure that there was a check and a balance, that to be able to hold the states accountable for what they did or didn't do. But the role of the superintendent is to actually, take charge and hold teachers accountable. But it's something we don't do. Teachers get tenure, and it's very hard to fire a teacher with tenure, a professor with tenure. So they try very, very, they don't put any effort into teaching your children because all they got to do is show up. And then if the worst happens, all they do is go sit in a rubber room for 8 hours a day, do crossword puzzles, and they still get paid.
Fact.
This is a system that needs to change. Also, the way in which we put professors in places in college, we are putting professors in teaching positions that should never be able to teach a kid. Matter of fact, do you remember the Weatherman Underground and William Ayers, Obama's buddy, right? This guy teaches at Chicago U. He was a leader of one of the worst domestic terror groups ever on the United States soil, bombed the Pentagon, killed 2 police officers. All of these groups spun out of one larger group called the Venceramos Brigade. Does anyone know who was the leader of the Venceramos Brigade back then, who is now an elected official today? Karen Bass, the mayor of LA.
Yep.
She swore fidelity to Castro. She was indicted and held on trial for bombings on the East Coast, pardoned by Bill Clinton, and then went on to become the mayor of a city in the United States.
She bomb the White House?
Never happened.
She bombed the White House, right?
I don't think it was it the White House? I don't know if it was the White House.
It was a part of the White House she bombed.
I'm going to look that up.
No, I'm about to look it up right now.
Either way, it's insanity.
It is insanity. But the thing is that we never see our mainstream media talk about this. Fox gives the impression of being right-wing. CNN gives the impression of being left-wing. But they both posture and never take that next step. You said something earlier about holding the media accountable for lying. Undoing the Smith-Mundt Act was something that was under Trump's purview. And instead of him doing it by fiat, by a presidential edict, if you will, he allowed the people to vote on the issue. And as a result, it didn't pass. But he did do a separate executive order that said that the press will be held accountable for lying. I haven't seen it, because the same thing was said about social media. They wouldn't be able to censor political voices. But go on TikTok right now. This conversation would have been shut down a long time ago, 10 minutes after it started. What would you do to fix this, Lance?
Well, I think I saw something today that may actually relate to this, that I think it was the FTC, and I might be misspeaking, but I know that something took place where they're now gonna stop big ad companies, and I think they're basically naming the social media companies from being able to do the political censorship that they've been doing with ad dollars. I just briefly saw it. You probably want to look into it deeper, but those were some of like the high level points. The short of what I would do is what JD said, make it highly illegal to lie and to twist the truth, especially if you are a journalist or in the media. We need to make sure that if there are oversight agencies like the FTC or whoever, that they are ensuring that Google and all of these alphabet agencies and media organizations are not into censoring. So easier said than done, of course, but that's what I would do is, again, gut some of these agencies, gut some of the companies that have been doing this, or, sue them into oblivion, or give them a chance to, okay, completely go clean. Otherwise it's game over. But I think they need to all be cleaned, cleansed, gutted, sued into oblivion, and done away with. Google has been censoring us for decades now.
Yeah.
So, no mercy, no deals. They wouldn't be doing it to us, meaning they wouldn't be even
It's
giving us
crazy.
a chance to make a deal.
All right.
I used to my daily routine used to be to turn on documentaries at nighttime on YouTube years ago, and you would be able to find an absolute abundance of information, and it would be I got completely addicted to this, and yet today those topics are taboo on YouTube, and thank God Rumble is there to fill that void. The platform, I think, has still a long way to go, but it for those people that used to search YouTube and now you can't find certain videos or things used to be there, they're on Rumble. Go find them. They are there. So what we need to do is stop giving our money to people that don't hold our values. That's what we need to do.
Yep.
Go ahead, JD. I'm sorry.
Nah, so when he mentioned Google, I almost caught the Holy Ghost, right? Because right now I'm on Google, it's basically saying that we're both wrong. It's trying to say that Karen Bass was never arrested. She wasn't involved with any of these things. But here's
I
the
can
thing.
pull it up on X.
No, I was about to say that because here's the thing. That says all false rumors. But here's the thing, bro. And this is why I say sometimes I really feel like iCloud deleted a lot of my screenshots intentionally. I gotta be the system. I'm telling you, the government hates me, bro. Listen, bro. I know this is true because I debate on TikTok. So this situation was brought up by another person that was on my side. So in this panel during this debate, I always keep my other phone on deck, and I fact check even the right side. I don't give a fuck. I get fact checked. We all can get fact checked. Cause acting like I'm right when I found out I'm wrong is not just detrimental to myself, but everyone else. And it's not patriotic. It's pussy. So as I'm
Yeah.
searching it, excuse my language, my bad, bro. I didn't mean to say that. As I'm searching it, and I seen it. It popped right up, bro. Bro, it popped right up on Google. Not only did it pop up on Google, it showed her mugshot, everything. It talked about her relationship with Castro, all that. And it was the White House, the East Wing.
What they're doing
Now
is
when I'm looking
playing
up, like
word
we talking
games.
about it, it's saying all of this is false. No ties, no Castro, none of that other stuff. Now all of a sudden it's saying it's false.
No,
Let's go.
here it is right here. I'll pull it up on the screen because it's
Thank you, bro.
absolutely true.
Thank you, bro.
And it's right here, and you can see she was a member of the Vince Ramos Brigade. The Vince Ramos Brigade was the group that Bass was involved with, founded in 1969 and organized trips the young American leftists to Cuba to support Castro regime. It's right there. So it is very, very true. And what Google is doing is being disingenuous at best, because what they're doing is saying that Karen Bass specifically may not have been targeted, but the group that she was a part of was targeted. So what they're doing is playing games.
They playing
They're
word games because it was a whole
playing
like,
word games.
and you know, I know. Here's the thing though, she was bought in. They took pictures, the little mugshot picture, and she was questioned. So that's being arrested. Even if you're not charged, even if they decide to let you go, you were still arrested. That's why I put that word in particular, arrested. I didn't say what she was charged with. I didn't say how much she didn't. No, nothing like that. I just put arrested. They know what they doing, bro.
So it was actually the group that she helped found was spun off into what's called the May 19th Communist Organization, or M19C0, also known as the Armed Resistance Unit. And it was a small group, female-led, left spin. This is where the Weatherman Underground comes into play, Teresa Dorn, William Ayers, because she actually was the mentor of Teresa Dorn, who was the wife of William Ayers, who was the one who literally wrote Obama's book, Dreams from My Father. This is the connection to Obama, who was also connected to Franklin Marshall Davis, who wrote the book, The American Communist. This is why we need to make communism illegal again in the United States, because what we're truly fighting and have been fighting since the Civil Rights Movement, and a lot of people don't realize this happened. Nikita Khrushchev said that he was going to turn the Civil Rights Movement into the United States into an exact duplicate of the Soviet bloc. And he started funding the Civil Rights Movement from the Soviet Union at the time before it was broken up. He did this through a guy named Russert Bayard, who was Martin Luther King's #2, an openly gay man in the 60s, the one who actually wrote the Dreams, I Had a Dream speech. And Martin Luther King was, and it was his entire life, not a Christian, didn't believe in the virgin birth, didn't believe in the resurrection, didn't believe in any of those things. And he was one of the fathers and founders of the progressive movement that we see today.
Yep.
He advocated for universal basic income. He was very unfaithful to his wife, questions of whether or not he was a straight man. So these are, but this is not this is not the pervasive history that they want to teach us. But it is very available for those who actually want to do the homework. Now, where can people find you, Lance?
LanceShutler.com, Lance Shutler on X, Rumble, all the socials. I'm out there, actively paying attention to things too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I also want to give you an opportunity to just kind of just to go ahead and anything that you want to highlight right now before we get off, anything you're working on, anywhere you're going to appear, anything at all, just feel free. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Eddie. I mean, I've got a company called Ascent Nutrition, and the short of it, this is not a pitch, just a brief little overview.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do your shameless plug, brother. Go for it.
Yeah, no, thank you. Organic and wild harvested nutrients, supplements. But the reason and kind of how I got into all of this was just learning through, experience in my family and learning about all this stuff as I become awake to these things, or when I became awake to these things, that, okay, this is physical, mental, emotional, psychological, and spiritual warfare that we're in. You guys know this, your audience knows it. We all know we're all on the same page. And anything that we can do in any of those realms to upgrade ourselves is a win. And it's a win for our lives, our family, our friends, and humanity. And so I always had an interest in sports and being active and health and wellness and fitness and all that. And so I kind of took those passions along with becoming awake to these things and kind of blending it into having a company and just talking about things like with what we're doing here, waking people up and helping people with their health and helping people detox from all the crap that's been going on. And I saw that comment. Yeah, just really trying to help people with their health. I had a family member take his life due to pharmaceuticals. So I saw firsthand what these drugs can do. And, that was kind of the beginning of my wake up call. So that's something that I've been doing for 5.5 years as my company.
And what are you doing exactly are you involved in trying to get people away from that way of life? And if so, how? I want to dig into that a little bit.
Not so much of like, actively trying to pull people off pharmaceuticals. Like, yes, we support that, but um we're not like tapering them off like through specific programs. It's more of supplements and nutrients that people can take regardless of how they feel. So we've got organic mushroom products, we've got a pine pollen tincture, we've got pine needle extract. That's like the pine needle tea that
Pine
people
needle
heard of.
extract, is this the white pine needle extract?
Yes.
So this is what they're using to actually treat autism. So people go from nonverbal to verbal, and it's had a lot of success, but they can't patent it in the United States, and it's typically used for African sleeping sickness. But in the United States, there have been trials ran where they have a very high success rate in making autistic children that are nonverbal become verbal.
Yes, exactly. Great info, Eddie. Not a lot of people know that, but that's absolutely true. Um, yeah, products like that, and just really trying to help people. Super clean, organic, wild harvested, no crap put in it, because that's the whole point. We don't want to put more crap into our body when we're trying to detox from all the crap that they've sprayed on us through the air, in the water, the pharmaceuticals, all the different things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We need to talk more. JD, what do you got to highlight, brother? What's JD up to?
Well, JD is trying his best to get off of social media the way how I'm on social media. I want to start bringing my cause to the streets head on. Charlie Kirk started Brexit with the until excuse me, called Charlie Kirk hands on, which I know I'm talking about, but with the intent that they will be in the black community to help the black community and help them. Like this, he was a freaking genius. Cause I was wondering why he carried like that. And when I found out 45% of black people don't vote, I said, "Oh, they're my people. I told y'all we don't freaking vote." Yes, in the hood. So what I want to do is bring the cause to the streets because we got millions of people who really think how we think. And what I have to do is break the bridge or the gap that was put between us and fill it in. Because I know for a fact YouTube, y'all two would say I'm gonna get a table and some microphones and sit outside of Baltimore City and talk, you would be safe. And you would get an audience too. Cause nobody know what you're talking about. What the hell y'all talking about? There's some white boys talking, yo, what they talking about? They're gonna wanna hear what you gotta say. So what I wanna do, well, what I am doing, I started a nonprofit called Pretty Bright Future Incorporation because we create my goal is to create different programs aimed at different people, not just the youth but even those coming home from prison, young adults because they need the love as well, right? Peer counseling, parents that might need some peer counseling and everything. So it's Pretty Bright Future Incorporation, and what we're doing is trying to bring unity amongst American people. We need to bring familyhood back in America without the distinction of race, creed, sex, case, or color. That is the only way that I believe that we can truly make our country great is by first showing patriotism and love amongst each other. We are the biggest melting pot, the best melting pot. I love all of my Americans, suburbs to the hood. You get what I'm saying? And I think that if we just come together in these different activities, that we will learn how to love one another and put our country first and make our government smaller and put the power back in the people. Because that's what I want, a smaller government that we control. And the first program that
Yeah,
I'm launching is fishing and finances, where we'll take kids out to the ocean, teach them how to fish, and we'll have people going through financial literacy with them. $1,000 gets 12 kids out in the water. Thank you.
yeah, that's
That's awesome.
that's awesome. Because
Thank you.
I tell you this much. I mean,
No,
I
that's
grew up
my
in
news line that you
Baltimore.
just talking about. I just learned a lot about that. Turning autistic kids nonverbal into verbal. Y'all boys got something going on.
Thanks, JD.
What he's talking about is the white pine needle extract. What is the name of the chemical? It starts with an S. I forget it off the top of my head.
Shikimic acid.
She can't make it.
Yes, and shikimic acid is what Tamiflu is. That's the main compound, but shikimic acid is also antithrombogenic and antiplatelet, meaning it unsticks sticky blood. And that's why during COVID, a lot of people were wanting to take pine needle tea. The detoxification, of course, and the unsticking of sticky blood.
Yeah. Now I interviewed Tom Haviland multiple times last year at CPAC before I got banned for life. at CPAC. I actually held one of the white fibrous clots that came out of a cadaver. Now he sent out these questionnaires to multiple funeral homes across the United States, where morticians were filling out these forms that how often do you encounter these white microfibrous clots, which literally fill up a person's veins to where the blood can't even flow through the vein. It can't. The morticians were draining the blood from the body and no blood was coming out. They would open the body up to see the vein was completely shut off with these long clots. And then we went about, okay, how do these clots form? What caused these clots? And we know where all this goes back to, is where he said it goes back to is the vaccine. You notice how I worded that. We are on YouTube. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
so there's a lot to be there, talked about there, and there's a lot that we should be holding people accountable for. And I think that the Make America Healthy Again movement is something that is definitely worth pursuing. It just doesn't get a lot of press.
Hey, well,
Yeah, go ahead, JD.
no, bro, my volume. Go ahead, my bad.
No, you're good. RFK Jr. today talked about how in July they're going to be moving forward with peptides.
Your sound went extremely down from where you're.
Oh, I thought it was
I
me.
don't know what happened.
Me?
Yeah, it's you, bro. It's just
Mhm.
sound. I thought it was me.
I don't know. How about now?
Now it sounds like you're very far away. We can hear you, but it just sounds like you're far away.
So
Like I'm echoing back to myself.
anything.
Weird.
How about
Weird. It's all right. We got to close out anyway. But yes, MAGA is something that definitely should be more in the forefront of the media. Go look up what RFK just said about them creating viruses specifically targeted to demographics of people. This is very eye-opening. So go check that out, guys. We'll see you again on Friday. Friday at 6, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I think we have an announcement coming up Friday that y'all are going to want to definitely be tuning in for. But as usual, the silent majority, you need to stop being silent, stand your ground, because evil will never retreat willingly. It must be beaten back. Have a great one. We'll see you soon. Thank you, JD, and thank you, Lance.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. Lance, nice meeting you, yo.
Yeah, you guys too. Thank you.
Soft tension, midnight gears hum low. Guitars bend, pads breathing, the slow.